All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Level Up Coaching and Consulting's Mindset webinar. We do the weekly Mindset webinar every week on Thursday. So today is Thursday. It is 7 o'clock. So let's get started. Hope you guys are doing well out there and taking care of yourselves. Really excited about these webinars. Like I say, I do them every week, and it's so much fun to do them. This one in particular, I'm really this is something that I think, like I say, I always try to pick topics that I think are relevant to, what's going on today in the world, with people, because we got a lot going on, right? And people are, frustrated, this, that, whatever, right? So this particular topic, I think, is going to be interesting. It's going to help us or help you guys, throughout life. So let's see. So the name of today's webinar is The Power of Self-Discipline and Consistency. Okay. Those are the, what would you call them? The unseen factors or the unseen things that you do that actually help get you the results that you're trying to get within your life. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's, relationships, your work situation, maybe you have a business, whatever it is, right? You got to have discipline and you have to have consistency. So how we do the webinars, or how I do my webinars, just so you guys know, basically what I do is I want to go through the bullet points first. Okay. So you can write them down as I go through them, and then we'll go ahead and get started right away. Make sure that my computer is there we go. Okay. So like I said, the power of self-discipline and consistency. So number one, we're going to talk about understanding self-discipline. Okay, that's the first thing. And then we're going to go to number two, understanding consistency. Okay, if you want to, learn how to do something, obviously you have to understand it first, right? Define it. So that's what we'll do. And then I'll give you some key characteristics and some misconceptions, as well as a definition of both of those, right? And then we'll go to why self-discipline and consistency matter. Okay, building achievement of long-term goals, building confidence and identity, mastery and excellence, overcoming obstacles. Those are some of the things that we'll talk about in that section. And then we'll go to how to develop discipline and consistency. And I have a few things here. Start with the why, building systems, setting clear and manageable goals, embracing discomfort, which is a big thing, right? Practicing self-compassion, and then we'll do the track and reflect. And then after that, I'll have a couple of exercises for you guys that I kind of want to send with you that you can do, okay? So let's go ahead and get right into it. So number one, understanding self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control your emotions and your desires in the face of external demands, okay, in order for you to get what you want later on. Okay, so basically, discipline, you may want it right now, right? But you gotta pursue what's right instead of what feels easy or what's pleasurable in the moment, right? You gotta separate your emotions, and you gotta get out of the emotional thing, right? You gotta go, okay, emotionally, I feel like I want to do this right now, right? But if you hold discipline that says, no, I don't want to, I want to get into it. I want it now. Okay, let me separate my emotions. What is it I need to do? What is it I want? Where am I going? Let me put that to the side and let me focus on the bigger picture later on, right? Does that make sense? So that's that. So a couple of characteristics. Delayed gratification, what we just talked about. Choosing long-term rewards instead of short-term wins. Okay, you got to see the bigger picture. All right, that's someone who's disciplined, someone who is really focused on their goal, whatever it is. They see the long term, right? They see the big picture. They don't just settle for, the quick, short, pleasure of the moment. Okay, and with that comes self-control, which means you have to manage your emotions, you have to manage your impulses, and you have to manage your reactions. Now, we're human beings, right? So that's easier said than done. I know it is easier said than done, and it does take time. Like I always say, it is a marathon, not a sprint. But if you want to get anywhere in your life as far as personal development, you have to have discipline. Okay. And in order for you to maintain your discipline, you have to manage your impulses, your emotions, right? Calm down, and your reactions. It's easier said than done. I know. Trust me. I'm laughing because I'm laughing because this is something that I work with myself, who I am, just me. You know, sometimes I'll, when it comes to my business, for example, when it comes to my business, I'm trying to do new things, or, maybe I'm trying to learn little things or whatever. And I got to be very, very hard on myself when it comes to managing my impulses and my emotions. Because, sometimes, as they say, the saying goes, jump out the window. Sometimes I just want to go, and then I got to really, slow down and focus. And, so I know what it's like. I know what it's like to just want to be impulsive and just pull the trigger right away. But you gotta slow that down, right? So that's self-control. Now, willpower. Obviously pushing through resistance and fatigue, because you're going to get tired. You're going to have resistance. You're going to have setbacks, failures, whatever you want to call them. But discipline will help you push through, okay? And then there's also purpose-driven behavior, okay? Actions that are guided by your goals and your principles, not how you feel, right? So choose actions or take action guided by your goals, guided by your principles, your values, right? Not by how you feel, not your mood. Okay, so that's the whole thing with that. Now let's talk about a little bit about understanding consistency. Before we go into that, I want to tell you this about discipline. So there's a misconception about discipline. Discipline is not about being harsh or hard on yourself or denying yourself happiness. It's not a punishment, right? It's channeling your energy, okay? So that you can, and to understand what matters most, okay? So discipline is not a punishment. Because when you think about discipline, you think about, maybe when you were a little kid and you did something wrong, your mama got after you or your daddy got after you, that's discipline, right? Or you may think of it as, I have to punish myself because I want to, lose weight, let's say. And you gotta, eat, certain foods, or not eat certain foods, or not eat certain amounts of foods. And you feel like you gotta punish yourself by that's not what it is, okay? There's a misconception. Discipline is not a punishment. It's about channeling your energy to what matters most and being able to, like I say, have that control over your impulses, over your emotions, okay, and over your reactions. So that's a misconception. I just wanted to clear that up, because I know a lot of people, when they think of discipline, they think of a negative thing, right? To be honest with you, and I did a video or did a webinar about a year ago on discipline before, and discipline is actually, not for nothing, discipline is self-love. It is a form of self-love, okay? Because when you are actually focused and you understand what's important, and you set aside the, like I said, the quick fix or the quick win or the quick pleasure or whatever it is for the bigger goal, that's a form of self-love, right? So just wanted to clear that up real quick. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2, understanding consistency. Consistency is what? If I were to ask you, what do you think the word consistency, what does it mean? Not the dictionary, just in your mind, what do you think when you say stay consistent? What does that mean? What does that mean? The practice of performing a task regularly and steadily, regardless of circumstances or emotional states. Irregardless of what's going on, what's happening, it's all falling down around you. You don't feel like it, we can use the analogy of going to the gym, right? I got to do it every day. Discipline, I don't want to go to the gym, but I need to go because I want to get in shape. That's the bigger picture, right? So I focus on the bigger picture of getting up, going to the gym, instead of, the quick pleasure of just sitting at home doing nothing, right? Now, consistency is circumstances are, it's raining outside, it's cold, my car's not working, and I'm really tired, emotional state, I'm not in the mood. That's when you go. That's when you really go, right? Regardless of that, you push through that and you go. That's consistency. And you can apply that to anything else, in business, in relationships, in networking, in your workplace, whatever else, right? You can apply that. So here are a few key characteristics that I want to share with you when it comes to consistency. Number one is persistence, right? Like I said, this is easier said than done. This is easier said than done. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Okay, you have to practice this. It's just like any other muscle you work out in your body, right? You have to practice it. You got to work it out in order for it to get stronger. Persistence, continuing even when results are not immediate. Okay, stay persistent even when it's not happening like this, right? And that's the one thing that I can share for myself personally when it comes to business. Okay, or just in general with other things in life, but mostly in business. So I started my business. I've had my business now over a year, almost a year and a half, about a year and a half. So it's still fairly new, right? And I had to stay persistent. I knew that I had to do the work. I had the discipline. I had the consistency. I was, doing the work, whatever. And sometimes the results, in my mind, I wanted the results to come like this because this is how I felt. I was like, well, I'm doing the work, right? And I'm doing it I'm coming from the proper place, right? I'm coming from a place of actually doing the work for the right reasons, right? And the work that I'm doing is, real. I mean, it's quality work. It's good stuff. Where are the results? Let's go. Come on, let's go. Results, right? So I had to get out of that mind frame because that is actually a mind frame of what they call scarcity or lack of. It's basically fear and you're doubting yourself and you're worried and you're wondering where are the results. You got to stay persistent. Just stay persistent, even when the results are not immediate, because they're not going to be immediate. This is, again, a marathon, not a sprint. I will continue to say that. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's going to take time. Okay. I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know your journey. I'm in my journey. I don't know how long it's going to take, right? I just know that I have to keep going, even when the results are not immediate. Okay. So that's persistence. Reliability. Now, building trust with yourself and others through regular effort. Be reliable. Okay. Again, regular effort. Continue to put forth an effort. Continue to do something and stay persistent at it. And then habit formation. So habit formation is basically turning those actions into action, turning those actions into automatic behaviors. Okay. Again, that takes time. The way you do that is to continue doing it over and over and over and over and over until it becomes second nature. All right. So let's talk about a quick misconception. Consistency is not about perfection. I know a lot of people think that, I gotta constantly, be held up to this standard and I gotta be, it's not about perfection. Okay. It's about showing up. Even imperfectly, over and over again, even if you're imperfect, even if it's not, perfect all the time, over and over again, showing up. That's what it's about. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up. Just wanted to clear that up. It's another misconception. Let's talk a bit about number 3, why discipline and consistency matter. So why do you think they matter? If we talk about the achievement of long-term goals, right? We'll start with that one. The achievement of long-term goals. So why does it matter? Why does this consistency and discipline really matter? Well, if I say like this, success, we talk about success, and that's whatever you think, whatever your mind tells you success is, right? I mean, it does happen quick for some people, of course, but rarely it comes from one big jump. Like it usually it comes from a result of continuous, countless steps over and over again over time, right? So that's why discipline and consistency matter, especially when it comes to goals. it comes from the success comes from the actual work. It takes time. It doesn't come like all at once. It comes little by little. So for example, if you're building a business like myself, I'm building my business, or if you're, a musician or you want to get in shape or whatever, all of that requires relentless repetition and commitment over and over and over. Relentless meaning continuing to do it no matter what. Don't stop, right? Don't stop and repeat. What they say, rinse and repeat constantly. A 100% commitment to whatever it is, whatever the goal is, right? So for me, building my business, I have to be relentless. I have to constantly repeat and be committed all the time and again. Now, that doesn't mean you got to work like hard and you got to be stressed out and you got to, what they say, grind and all. No, that's not what I'm talking about. There's a difference between grinding and actually just doing the work. Okay, you got to come from the right place. I don't come from a place of, I got to grind, I got to get it, no, because now that's forcing it. That's kind of like, forcing it to happen, right? You're sending the signal and you're sending a signal to the universe that it's hard. So, okay, the universe goes, oh, it's hard? You want hard? Okay, here you go. You know what I mean? So make sure you come from the right place. When we're talking about it, it means just being relentless in repetition and commitment all the time, but not in a sense of, grinding or hurry up or I gotta stress. No. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, don't do that to yourself. Trust me, I've done it, so I know how it feels. And it's not groovy. So that's when we talk about achievement of long-term goals, why discipline and consistency matter. Let's talk about how it builds confidence and identity. Every single time you promise yourself, or every single time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-respect, right? Because you look at that as a win. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, that's a win, right? And when you see that win, you go, oh, I did that, right? Now that's motivation. That builds your self-respect, but it also builds your confidence. You're like, okay, so if I can do that, and if I can keep that promise to myself, and I can show up for this or this or this and be, have my discipline in check and be consistent for these specific situations, well, what else can I do? Like, where's the limit? Like, how far up can I go? Does that make sense? So each time you promise, you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen not only your self-respect, but your confidence, okay? And over time, you'll be able to identify as somebody who is disciplined and consistent. But like I said, over time. Okay, and you'll go and you'll fall, and you'll go up and you'll fall, and you'll go up. We're human. We're gonna make mistakes. No one's ever gonna be 100% perfect. Okay, I see some comments here. The energy is different. Something been. I agree because yes, very true, Karina, very true. So. As I said, over time, you'll be able to identify someone who is disciplined and consistent. Now, number 3 is mastery and excellence. That's another reason why it matters. Talent will get you started, right? Luck is something that can or may not come, right? But discipline and consistency will take you to the master level, whatever it is you're trying to do, right? You may be very talented. You may be lucky enough to be in a situation where, something happens, whatever. But if you don't have the discipline and the consistency, it's not going to work out for you. All right. So that's mastery and excellence. And now we're going to talk about overcoming obstacles. Discipline, consistency, motivation will fade and obstacles are going to appear, right? Like I said, we're human beings. Motivation is going to fade. Obstacles are going to appear. I don't care what it is in life you were talking about. You can pick a topic. It doesn't matter. Discipline and consistency will carry you through those times. If you stay disciplined and you stay consistent, you will be able to persevere and push through those inevitable challenges. And I say inevitable because, like I said, they're going to come. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a boss, as an employee, as a citizen of the world, discipline and consistency will help carry you through when you have those inevitable challenges, whatever they are, because they're going to come. So prepare yourself. All right. Let's go to number 4. How to develop discipline and consistency. Now, how do we develop discipline and consistency? How do we do that? Like, if you think about it in your mind, how does that? I mean, you talk about doing it and what it means, and how do we do it? Well, I put down. Let's see. I put down 6 different topics, or 6 different sort of tools, if you will. Start with the why. Build systems, not willpower. Set clear, manageable goals. Embrace discomfort. Not my favorite. Practice self-compassion. Again, not my favorite. And track and reflect. Okay, so those are 6 tools. Now, there's a lot of different tools you can go into and whatever else like that. And we can go into the science of it and how the brain and all of that. We're not going to get into that, okay? I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to pretend to be, right? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a guru, so I'm not going to pretend to go into some subjects that I don't really know a lot about or have a real, hard grasp on, right? I will talk about what I know. So, and those 6 things are what I know. So, let's talk about the first one. Start with the why. How to develop discipline and consistency. Start with the why. Okay? Start with the why. Clarify your purpose and your vision. Okay? A strong reason will make your discipline easier. So, ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Okay, it always starts with the why. Now, I'm not just talking about personal development. I'm talking about in life in general. But if you have goals, you have an A goal, a B goal. Let's say you have a C goal, the biggest goal, right? Because an A goal and a B goal, that's not really a goal. But we're talking about a C goal. Why? I did a last week's webinar was Don't Worry About the How. And you can find it on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and put the link. I forgot to do that because I've been busy. But I'm going to go ahead and put the links up to the YouTube channel so you guys can go check out the last week's video. Don't worry about the why, or don't worry about the how, rather. A lot of people think, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Don't worry about how. But think about, focus on the why. Okay? That will help you get started with your discipline consistency journey. Clarify a clear purpose and vision. When I say clear, I mean crystal clear, like clear, right? Crystal clear. The universe doesn't work in maybe or kinda or vague or I'd like to. No. You have to be really, really, really 100% clear about your vision. Okay? And that will build on, it'll just make discipline easier. Okay, so let's talk about building systems, not willpower. Building systems, not will. So what I think is important with building systems is like setting routines, right? Over and over and over and over again. The same routine. Alarms, visual reminders, apps, journals, whatever. Like set a routine, right? That's a system, a routine, right? Create an environment that makes good behavior easier, right? Or positive forward-thinking behavior easier. Now, how do I create that environment? Well, you got to look at your environment and see what's going on, and you got to get rid of the distractions. There's a lot of things that you probably don't need. Get rid of the distractions. If you're gonna go to the gym, so you're gonna get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and hit the gym before you go to work. Let's just say, right? So create a routine. Routine could be maybe before you go to bed at night you meditate, or if you pray or whatever. The routine could be you're not on your phone on social media right before you go to bed, right? You know what I mean? Like just small things, like take away the distractions. Turn off your social media. Meditate. Get up, go to the gym. Maybe if you have to eat something or pack your stuff to go to the gym, then pack your stuff the night before. Get in the habit of packing it the night before, right? Your food, if you got to go to work, right? So you pack. What I used to do, at night I would, pack my lunch, set it up right in the front part of the refrigerator in the bag, and it's ready, right? I have my clothes packed for the gym, and then whatever I'm going to wear when I go to work. And I had everything set up. The keys were here. Everything was set up. So all I had to do was wake up, get the crust out of my eyes, right? Meditate, get my ass up, and get in my clothes and do my morning routine, brush your teeth, whatever. And all I had to do was just basically it was all set up for me, right? That's how if you build it like a routine like that, that makes your behavior easier. That makes good behavior easier. I don't have any distractions. I don't have my phone on. I have it in my pocket, and I have my earbuds or whatever. I don't put them in until I get into the gym. You know what I mean? Because I have them packed down in my gym bag. So that way I won't be tempted to, let me just listen to this real quick. No. Focus, right? You understand what I'm saying? So building systems, that's what I mean when I say building systems. And that's just an example, as far as, you can use that example for anything, right? Then let's talk about setting clear, manageable goals. Now, when I said that earlier, I talked about the universe doesn't work in vague. Clear, manageable goals. So they have to be clear. They have to be crystal clear, but they have to be manageable, and they have to be realistic. So how do you make them realistic? Well, you break them down into small, manageable parts, right? This is my C goal. It's gigantic. It's scary. I'm not even the person I need to be in order to be, you know what I mean? I'm not there yet. So how do I get there? Well, these are the stepping stones. These are the building blocks that I can do. These are the things I can do today. What can I do today to get closer to my goal, right? What can I do today that I can accomplish that is a win? What 5 things or 3 things or 10 things or whatever can I do that I can manage today and help get me to where it is I got to be, right? That's how you break those goals down into daily tasks, emails, reels, marketing, whatever it is you got to do, right? And then you celebrate those wins. That's how you set clear goals, and that's how that you celebrate it, because celebrating wins builds momentum. Celebrating wins gives you motivation, right? Because like I said earlier, I did that. Oh, okay. Okay, so I had these things I had to do today. Those are the 4 things I had to do today. My goal list. I have a goal list, right? Or a priority list that I wrote down, or I have on an app or whatever. And I did those 4 things today, and it came out right. Cool. Celebrate. It's a small win, but there's 4 small wins. Now I'm closer to my goal. Because that gives you motivation, that gives you momentum, that makes you go, okay, well, if I did that, what else can I do, right? And you build on it. Now, you're going to slip. You may have a mistake. You may have a mishap. You may have a setback. You may have a failure. Something may not go exactly the way it was supposed to go. Something may not, be, go as planned. That's fine. That's going to happen. So prepare for that. But still celebrate your wins, all right? And then also, again, what I just said, things are going to happen. Embrace discomfort. I don't care what it is in life. Growth lives outside of the comfort zone. First of all, we all know that there's no growth in the comfort zone. So if you want to grow, you got to get outside of your comfort zone. And you got to train yourself to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's going to happen. I'm not saying you got to always be uncomfortable, but what I'm saying is, things are going to happen, and you have to learn how to pivot. You got to learn how to move. You got to learn how to be flexible. You have to learn how to accept and allow that to happen and be okay with it. Okay, this happened. It makes me very uncomfortable when things don't go this way. I tried this with the app, or I did this thing with it. Right? You get frustrated. Of course, it happens, and you're discomfort, and you're uncomfortable, and you're angry, you're frustrated. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. It's going to happen. Allow it to happen, but be prepared, and then okay, now that happened, but what else can I do? Because this is not going to work. If I keep going in this way and that's not working, so what else can I do? Right? It's a setback, but it's a learning opportunity. All right? It's a stepping stone of growth. Always know that a failure is a stepping stone of growth. Right? It happened for a reason. And that reason is for you to learn what not to do. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Now, while we're doing all of this, we're embracing comfort or discomfort. We're setting manageable goals. We're building systems. We understand the why. one of the things that's very important that we have to do is we have to practice self-compassion. I know that sounds corny to a lot of people, and I know that sounds like something that a lot of people don't really, relate to. I was that person at one point in time, but now I realize that self-compassion is, you got to be kind to yourself. Because like I said, you're gonna fall. You're gonna make mistakes. Things aren't gonna work out the way you want. You are going to, have a mishap or whatever, a misstep. You're human. So discipline it's not an all or nothing thing, right? When you slip, you forgive yourself, and then you get yourself back up immediately and understand that focus on progress, right? Focus on the process, not the result. Focus on progress, not perfection. Okay, get out of that thought of, oh, it's got to be perfect. No, it doesn't. You got to show up. We talked about that earlier. You got to show up. Okay, show up even if it's imperfect. Show up every day and go at it every single day. Stay persistent every single day. Stay relentless every single day. Stay committed every single day. Okay, and progress will produce results. Okay, now let's talk about track and reflect. There's a lot of journals, calendars, apps, all these different, what is it called? I forgot. I think it's called Habit Tracker or something like that. You can look it up on Google Play or whatever it is. So basically, tracking and reflecting on your progress is the same as, it has the same effect as celebrating your wins, right? Because you track and you reflect, okay, I did this, so that means I need to do that. You stay on track. You have a priority list. You know what's important, what's not important, what's 1, 2, and 3. You know what you've done. You know what you need to do. And that is also, like I said, with celebrating your wins, it's going to help you be motivated, right? It's going to push you to be, to go forward and to keep going. All right. So, that's that. Now we're getting down to the end of this. I want to give you guys, before I leave, I want to give you guys some, if I can do this right. Yeah. I want to give you guys some practical exercises to take with you. Number 1, let's talk about the 5-minute rule. Commit to doing a task for just 5 minutes. Okay. And it tricks your brain into just starting. Like, just start. Just start. Pick an action, pick a task, pick something you need to do, and just do it. Just start for 5 minutes. And then turn that 5 minutes into 25 minutes. And so on and so forth. Right? So there's that rule. Then there's the habit contract. Create a sort of what would you say? Like a commitment, like journal, right? Write down the things that you need to commit to and what you've committed to and what you need to commit to. Like right, journaling is a good way. Or you can have, like I said, there's an app. There's all kind of apps and calendars and journals and whatever else, right? So that's another thing. Make a habit contract. And then identity reinforcement practice. That's basically affirmation in the morning. You wake up in the morning and you affirm your identity. Say something like, I'm disciplined and consistent. I am a disciplined and consistent person. I do what needs to be done. Like, you can make it up, whatever it is, but say it to yourself every morning, right? So try those practical exercises. Again, this is not something that's going to happen overnight, right? Take your time with it. Try what practice works for you. Maybe habit contracts don't work for you, but the 5-minute rule does. Maybe the 5-minute rule for you needs to be 10 minutes. Maybe the identity reinforcement, maybe you need to say something else, whatever. But, tweak it to your own thing and try to incorporate that in your life. And I want you to remember that discipline and consistency are tools that, yes, are very necessary and very important to personal development and growth. They're the things that no one sees, right? You're being consistent and disciplined. No one sees that, right? But check this out. What's important to remember is that this is going to take time, okay? Don't be in a hurry, okay? Focus, keep your accountability to yourself, right? Have your discipline and your consistency, right? Slow down and observe what needs to, what's working, what's not working, be flexible, and remember to be grateful. Remember to keep gratitude as your attitude. Okay? So this concludes this evening's webinar. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed delivering it. It was a lot of fun. If you're interested and you want to know more about my coaching, you want to know how I do it, how much it costs, what the programs are, what you get with the programs, whatever else like that, you can email me at levelupcc065@gmail.com, or you can just, DM me on Instagram at DRU_Murphy. And just DM me or email me, and we'll talk about what it is you need. We'll talk about, what your challenges are, what your ideas and your goals are as far as personal development. And I'll tell you, what I do and how I do it, and then we'll figure out whether or not it's a match. Okay? So until next week, you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. I got some cool plans. My wife and I are going to do some cool stuff, so I'm kind of excited about that. But anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys next week.